Hey, this is Brent, and today I'm wearing my cool hoodie that I got from Adobe Max. To the max. In this tutorial, I want to show you how to use this new feature that was released with Era 3.0, the idea of using an ActionScript Native Extension. So what I want to do is demonstrate how to create one using, well, I take that back. What I want to do is show you how to use an existing ActionScript Native Extension. I'll talk about how to create them in another tutorial or two. So Adobe has posted on their website a number of extensions that you can use in your code for iOS and Android. So what I want to do is show you how to use that. And in this example, we're going to use Flash CS5.5. And you've already used, you got Era 3.0 overlaid. And if not, you got to check out that other tutorial. And then with this one, we're going to use a ActionScript native extension, and I'll show how it works for iOS and Android using Flash CS5.5. So here I am on my Windows machine, and I want to talk about using a native extension with Flash Professional. Now this assumes you have already overlaid the Era 3.0 SDK, you followed along and you did all that good stuff. And now here I am at this web page. It's native extensions for Adobe Air. You can do a search for it. And this lists all of the current native extensions that are out there associated with Adobe or that have been recommended by the community. I think there are some other folks, developers that have been creating native extensions. You can look online. Anywho, the one I want to talk about is this vibration example, and if I click over here, there's a lot of information. You can read through this on your own. I'll walk through how we're going to build it. But the vibration zip, you need to download that. And then, in case you're wondering what I'm working with, I'm following along on this link here using native extensions. That's what this is here. So we've got this native extensions, all this information. Basically, I'm just following along with that, but making it into a tutorial. Also, some of these can be a little confusing, so hopefully we'll make it work. All right, so now that we have this vibration zip, I have a folder here. In this folder, I've got a couple things. One, I've got the Air SDK. The other is I have this vibration folder, which is unzipped, which is the folder that we've got. If we go into here, you'll see a bunch of things, and the one we are interested in is this ready to use extension, because we're going to then reference a few things within the application. So I'm using the ready to use extension, just so you know. All right, let's go into Flash Professional and let's create a new document. And in this example, I want to create a new Air for Android app. Now you can use this for iOS, but the reason I'm doing it for Android is because, let me go ahead and get this started. Because if I click over here to the web page, notice if I'm looking at this vibration example, there's a couple of lines here. Okay, notice it says there's no API to determine whether the vibration is supported, and so it says also the duration value is ignored. So what happens is there's just one type of vibration available on iOS, and so it just does it. On Android, though, you have the ability to pass in a value, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so here we are in Flash Professional. Let's go ahead and save this. I'm going to call this vibration example. And then let's create a document class. Go ahead and click edit, and then we're going to call this, I like to call mine by the name of the FLA. So I'm going to call this vibration example. Click OK, and then we're going to save this. Same name as the file. There we go. All right. Now, what we need to do is associate the .ane file with the library path. And if you go to those instructions, it says you need to change the file name of the ANE to .swc. So I'm going to my download that I've got ready to use extensions, and what I want to do, I want to copy this and paste it, and then I'm going to change this one. The reason I want to kind of maintain the original just because, but here I am going to rename this to SWIC or SWC. Okay, now notice we have that here, and notice we have this one here. Don't worry about this at the moment. We just want this one. We've renamed it from ANE to SWC. Now go into Flash Professional, and we're going to go to File and choose ActionScript Settings, and then we're going to go for the library path, and from the library path we're going to add a SWIC. And so notice this little browse to SWIC. Go ahead and click that. Now we're going to double click, ready to use, and I want this one, right? The ANE that we renamed. Go ahead and click open, and then click OK. Awesome. Let's go ahead and save this just for good measure. Now, we also, I forgot one step. Sorry, my mistake. Let's go to File, go back to ActionScript Settings, go back to Library Path. Go ahead and select this. Linkage. We want to change this linkage to external. Right? Come on. Oh, come on. That's not what we want. See, look, I'm reading the instructions and I'm walking through it, and select the button. It says select the button, select linkage options. Set linkage options. There it is. Man, that's confusing. Go ahead and now check external. Click OK. Okay, that's what we wanted. It was this little I button. That's what it is. Okay, don't worry, I'm just pulling this out of my hat as I write it. Okay, so we've added the ANE/ANE. We renamed it SWIC. We've added it to the library. We set it to external. Okay, now we're ready. Now let's save this again now that we got it right. Okay, let's jump over to our document class and let's get started. Now, we want a couple things. One, we want a variable. We're going to call this private var, and we're going to call this vibrate, and it is of type vibration. Look at that. Automatically added the import statement, and that's what we want. Okay, now there are two methods to this API. One of them is to check whether it's supported. So I'm going to say if, and I'm calling on the class, vibration class itself, if vibration.is supported, then I'm going to set up buttons. And I'll tell you about that in a second. Otherwise, else I'm going to trace, sorry, vibration, no work on this device. Let me clean that up. No, vibration not supported. That's better. All right. So we check whether vibration is supported. If it is, then we call this setup buttons. All right. Let's go to write that method. Private function setup buttons, and whoops, it returns void, nothing. Okay, now let's go back, let's save this, and let's go back to the FLA and let's create some buttons. So I'm just going to draw me some buttons. You like that? I'm going to draw me some buttons. Pick a color, let's change the color. Let's do another button here. Obviously, this is not a drawing example. This is just a button example. V, double click, line these up a little better. All right. Okay, now let's put some text on here. we're going to say 300 milliseconds. Let me change the font and the size, the font color. Come on, there we go. Font color. Let's make this white. We want static text, classic texts. Size, let's make this 36. All right, we get the kids in the background. This is what happens when I write tutorials in the afternoon. Oh, come on. Color, change to white. There we go. All right. Let's copy this. Oh, come on. V. There we go. Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V. And here, now let's rename this. I want to set this to 500. And I'm going to set this to 1000, which is equivalent to 1 second. So, if you're testing this on iPhone or iPad, just remember the values won't affect the length. But on Android, the values will affect the length. Whoops. All right. So now let's capture all of this, turn this into a button, convert to symbol, and let's make this a button. And I don't care what it's called, but I do want to give it an instance name. I'm going to call this button 1. Like I said, this is not a drawing tutorial. Go ahead, press F8, save it as a button, give this an instance name. Guess what? We're going to call this button 2. All right, now what is this? What is this? Let's press F8. Let's call this button 3. You were probably wondering. Huh? Okay, so now I have 3 buttons. Let's go ahead and save this. 3 buttons on the stage. We go over here now. What I'm going to do is, because we're checking if vibration is supported first, then we check, we want to set up the buttons. So I'm going to add a couple of event listeners. So I want to say button 1.add event listener. And we're going to do mouse event, just for the sake of making it simple. Click, and we're going to say handle buttons. And I want to do this. We're going to duplicate this. Oh, come on. And we're going to rename this 2 and 3. And we're calling the same method. Now, the other thing we want to do is, at this point, I want to create or instantiate my Vibrate variable. So we're going to say Vibrate equals new vibration. New vibration. I don't think that's the right words. Private function, handle buttons, and it's going to receive an event, and it's going to be a mouse event. And then what I want to do is I want to do a little switch statement. So I'm going to say switch, and we're going to switch on the event.currentTarget.name. Okay, and if you remember in Flash, that is the name is the instance name. So I'm going to say, all right, tell me whether this instance name is, I'm going to say case, and then in quotes, because it's a string, I'm going to say, if this is button 1, then do something. Otherwise, if it's button 2, do something different. Now, I haven't put in what that is yet, don't worry. And then otherwise, button 3. Okay, so what we're going to do then is call the vibrate method on this vibrate object. So vibrate dot vibrate, and the duration. Guess what? Remember, we called this one 300 milliseconds, so we're going to say 300 milliseconds. So let's just copy this and quit pressing the wrong button because I'm on a Mac and I'm on Windows. Control C. Control V. Control V. Now remember, we called this one half a second, which is 500 milliseconds. Here we did this one as 1,000 milliseconds, which is a second. Okay, go ahead and save that. All right, very simple. Now, at this point, we want to save it, and we want to build the SWIF. So I'm just going to do the control return to export the SWIF. And that way we have a built SWIF. Hey, firewall blocked. Awesome. Allow access. Come on, you stupid. Vibration could not be found. Okay, now let's address this because this is good. Because this is good. All right. Let's try to fix this. I have one idea. One idea is we're going to go here to ActionScript Settings, and I'm going to go to Source Path, and I'm going to add the SWIC, the library example. So, remember how I said don't worry about this? Oh, come on, I don't want a folder, I want, come on. Browse to path, yeah. Oh, come on. I take that back. Don't worry, this is how it works. This is how real life works. Let's go ahead and add this SWIC. Let's add the Vibration ActionScript library. Go ahead and add that. Click OK. Now, let's go ahead and save this. Let's build this again. See what happens. It worked. Nope. Oh, wait. Flash Builder. Yes, 58. 58 and 43. Let's dismiss. Let's see what that is. 58. Ah, I know what I need to do. Okay. Let's first see 58. Let's just see what's there. What's in 58? Oh, I know what we need to do. Okay. Back up. All right. So what we have to do is modify the App Xml file so that it references the extension. So the way we do that is I just clicked on the Air for Android settings, and what that does, as soon as I click on that, it automatically creates this -app.xml that creates this file right here. So for now, let's go ahead and just set this up, because I want to set it up and then I'm going to modify this outside of the Flash Professional, because we have to add some things. So let's go ahead and create a, if you don't have one already, Fluffy Bunny, save as, I want to save this in the root of my working folder. I'm going to call this Brent Android. Okay, so we're going to click OK. Self-sign created. Okay, now understand this, I'm not going to package the Air app with Flash Professional because currently Flash CS5.5 does not support packaging of native extension apps. So all I'm doing is I just did this in order to create the App XML and to create my signing certificate. So that's all I'm doing. So I want to make sure I got stuff here. Aspect ratio, good. And then I click OK. Now, at this point, let's save this bad boy and let's switch over. The reason why it attempted to run and it attempted to then package or run in the ADL, and it's not set up for that. So all I want is to just test the movie, but I want to just build, basically I just want to build the app. So let's figure out. So I just did that. Just test. It's going to launch and then it's going to throw up on us. So don't worry, because we don't expect it to run in the desktop, in the ADL. We don't expect that to run. So don't worry. So now let's go to our folder. And so, sorry if this is confusing, but unfortunately it's confusing. Okay, we're going to test this. We're going to see how well this works. Now, right now we have this App XML, we have the SWIFT, we have the signing certificate, and we have all this other stuff. So before we package, and I'm going to do this in a different tutorial, but before we package the app, I need to make sure we edit this App XML file. We need to add a couple of things. Those couple of things are, one, we need to add permissions, and let's do this. I'm gonna be sneaky. Watch this. I'm gonna go back to Flash. I'm gonna go back to edit the Air for Android settings, and then I'm gonna click permissions, and I'm gonna add a permission. Go ahead and do internet and just click OK. Now I'm gonna go ahead and save this, and let's go back to my folder. Let's go back to editing this file, and let's see if it did what I hoped. There it is. Okay. It added all this for us. See, I didn't want to type that. Come on. Okay, so we have the App XML. What I need to do, and I'll go back here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Here we've already done the code, right? We did our little example. But notice it says for Android, you need to add a permission. So we have this permission here, so let's just copy that. Go ahead and copy that. And let's switch over to the file and then press return and paste that in. Check that out. See how that works? Let's clean that up a little. All right, see that? We've added the permission. Okay, go ahead and save this. Now, the other thing we need to do, and let's go back to the web page. Remember when you come here for extensions, there's this link, use native extensions, using them. Over here, there's a thing that we got to do, and it says declaring the extension. Okay, we need to declare the extension here, and see we have this tag that we need to add, and it needs an extension ID. Now you're saying, okay, well, Brent, where is the extension ID for the Vibrate extension? Well, guess what? Come back to our folder, go into the stuff with the thing, ready to use. Check this out. Check this out. That is the extension ID. So that's good to know. So we need to add that. Now let's go over to 1 second. So my phone just rang. That's what that, anyway. But you won't notice that because I just paused and restarted. Okay, shut up, Brett. All right, so extension ID, right? We copy that. Now come up here, and within the main application descriptor tag, let's add our extensions. Now it's called extensions, and then it was called extension ID in capital letters. Extension ID. So now within this tag we need to add or paste the extension. Okay, now go ahead and save this. All right, now the App XML is in place. The reason we were getting this error back when we tried to test the movie is the ADL, the debug launcher for the desktop, was launching it, but it wasn't parsing the file properly, and it's not set up to really run the extension. You can't debug the extension on the desktop. So it was throwing that error after it tried to run it. But the point is, in the next tutorial, we're going to package this into a working app. Okay, I'll talk to you then.